Hi everybody, my name is Aimee Ashlanne Rekoske. I am the project manager for the community relations team, and you are watching the SOE community webcast, PoxNora Endless Wonder. We're going to give you a preview of several of the expansion's new ruins and talk about the overall storyline for the expansion. With me today is Derek Sokolov. I always say it wrong, I know.
No,
that was right?
Yeah.
Chin. He's the lead designer for PoxNora. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Good?
Thank you.
Yeah?
How are you?
I'm good.
Cool.
All right, so Endless Wonder is PoxNora's 20th expansion.
20. That's a lot of expansions.
That is. All right, so what can you tell us about it?
So Endless Wonder is our new expansion, and it follows the theme of ancient powers and myths and legends. And so you'll find in it various things that the factions have discovered or recovered, as well as creatures and manifestations that have come out of existing myths and legends.
Okay.
And one of the things we're doing with this expansion and going forward is following a more lore-centric approach in our design. So the whole idea is that what we'll do is create the story first and build our content out from there. Okay. And my belief is that it's going to create stronger designs and give a more coherent story. And as we go along, that's going to become more and more evident, especially since with this expansion, using these ancient powers is going to have repercussions that the factions are not currently aware of. So in the next couple of other expansions, we'll probably be exploring those aspects.
Interesting. So it's going to get kind of crazy with the overall story of what's going on in the game.
Yeah, the whole idea is just to make it so that there is more of a continuity between each of the expansions, and for there to be reasons for each of these runes to actually exist in the world of PoxNora. Why do we have X? Why do we have Y? And there's going to be a reason, and it's not just going to be because I felt like making more Mogas.
All right, so speaking of ruins, we should show them, right?
Yeah, we have a whole bunch of sketches and finished pieces that we're going to show you, and I'll talk about each of the runes as well as a little bit about the backstory for each. Form and how it looks and shapes before they add in all the work to do the complete piece.
Awesome. So who's our next guy?
So the next guy is going to be a spider from Underdepths. We're jumping factions a little bit here.
Ooh.
So there's the sketch.
He looks cute.
So this is actually a player-created rune by BK201. In-game name is Teen Ninja. So we took some of the aspects of his design and came up with the spider.
And, ooh.
Yeah, so he's a bit of a stealth specialist in that he not only stealths himself, but also stealths other units.
Oh.
And so when you deploy him, he's going to stealth something nearby, and when he dies, he's going to stealth something nearby as well. So spider decks have always been this sort of like less straightforward kind of build. They're kind of tricksy because they're not that strong on their own, so they utilize tricks and other stuff to get the same effect.
That's cool. That's cool.
So the next piece should be the finished piece.
All right. Oh.
And it got flipped.
Oh, so he kind of moved a little.
Well, we mirrored it so that he's facing the other direction now.
He's sparkly.
And there's actually another spider for Underdepths as well that we aren't showing here. But the whole idea behind these spiders is part of the whole artifacts thing, in that something somewhere along the way when they were playing with these artifacts.
Oh. We have no sound at all?
We do now.
Oh.
On the first one, we want to. Can you talk about the first one?
Oh.
First
Oh.
critter again?
Okay, yeah, let's jump back to the bloodworm then. Can we go back on that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry about that. There we go.
Okay, so this is the bloodworm. I already said all this, but I'll say it again. So this is one of the manifestations I was talking about, in that it's actually, it's a creeper, but it's also part vampire.
Ooh, look at those fangs.
Yes.
There we go.
And so in this case, the legend tells of a possession attempt of a creeper by a vampire. So the vampire tries and possesses this thing, but doesn't quite succeed, and ends up kind of merging his spirit with the creeper's body instead. And so basically what we end up with is a blood-sucking worm.
And then we get the finished product where he's all cool and detailed, and you can really see the fangs.
Yeah, and you can see that he's quite malicious looking and seems like he has his own agenda. And one of the things is that most of the other creepers are less evil looking. They're just kind of bulbous and, kind of looks like they're not sure what's going on in some cases. But in this case, he seems to be highly intelligent and has a very specific goal in mind.
Very cool. All right. Who's next on our list?
Next, we have a spider. Oh. We jumped up.
They heard us do
You
the
didn't see
spider.
this. Oh, did they hear the spider?
Yeah, they heard the spider.
Okay, well, I did want to talk a little bit more about the spiders themselves before I continue with this piece. So the spiders sort of... Oh, there's the spider. So the spider have always existed in the Underdepths, but the idea is that these new spiders that are coming in seems to have been touched by something that's a little bit different. And, even if people in Underdepths aren't quite sure where these spiders are coming from. And so we'll probably explore that a little bit in the next expansion, and you can see, why are these spiders coming out now. So they're going to behave slightly differently than some of the existing spiders as well.
Cool. They look kind of magical.
Yes, they're a little bit more magical.
Neat. All right, so let's look at our fiery guy. What is he?
So next we have the Peaks Ifrit. So this is a jinn, a type of genie, and they've been in contact with the hyenids of the Shattered Peaks, and have made some attempts to make deals with them and control them.
What does he look like finished? Can we see him? Or is this the only one we have?
We think we should have a second one.
Yeah.
There's,
Oh, that's the second one?
Okay.
Wow. It's all fiery.
Okay, so in a particularly crucial battle, the Jinn show themselves in support of the Hyenids, and that's caused grave concern to Club the Devourer, who is the Royal Queen's supreme commander, as they're sort of an unknown quantity. They're not quite sure what these Jinn want and why are they, playing around now. No one really knows what the Jinn want out of this deal, and they clearly sort of see themselves as above the other factions in the Shattered Peaks.
Cool. All right.
So next we have a Hyanid. So this is the original sketch, which shows the kind of the form of the character. So this is the Hyanid spirit speaker, who is one of the ones that have been in contact with the Jinn. And so while the Jinn are technically a new race, mechanically they work with the Hyenids in various ways. One of the ways that manifests is that the Hyenids get buffs. These particular Hyenids get buffs when near a Jinn.
That's pretty cool.
So we have a couple more pieces of this particular guy. So here's a little bit more detail. And then the next piece is has even more atmosphere and detail.
It's like glowing. That's so cool.
Yeah. And so he looks big, but he's actually normally kind of docile, except in the presence of the Jinn.
Gotcha.
So this is the Circadian Templar. So these are the Mirefolk of the Froglar Swamp. That's what this expansion focuses on. There's also two Pyranids as well.
Neat. It's like a mermaid almost like that.
Yeah, they're merfolk.
Ooh.
So the difference with these merfolk and the existing merfolk in the game is that these merfolk have sort of secluded themselves in the Emerald Lake, where they have sort of had their own society and not caring about the rest of the swamp. But recently they have done some divinations and other such things, and have discovered that if they don't do something bad's going to happen to the swamp. And so they've decided to, I guess, stoop themselves down to everyone else's level and play with them for a little while and try and make things better.
Pretty cool.
So
All
next
right.
we should have the Pyranid Blood Fiend.
Ooh.
So he's actually attack electricity, which didn't quite come out in the art. I may have the artist add some electrical stuff to him. But the idea is that this is... So Pyranids have been in the game for a while. They're these kind of like fishmen that like to eat flesh.
Gross.
And in this case, he's actually been through the Circadian Vault, which is a temple that the Circadian have built. And when they bring them through the vault, they've done some kind of ritual rites that nobody really knows what they did. But it kind of turns these guys a little bit more crazy than they already were, and also makes them, give them new abilities and powers.
Well, he does have crazy eyes. Who's next?
Next, we have a very special piece. This is the Silver Clan Hoplite. And this particular piece was illustrated by a player in our recent fan art contest.
Awesome.
So he was our winner, and we gave him some runes and some other stuff, and his name is going to appear in the game with the art and all that stuff.
That's
so
really cool.
that should be really cool. And he actually turns out that he's actually a professional artist, which does make sense given the quality of the piece.
It's very nice. That's really cool.
But before we move on from this piece, I'll talk a little bit about the constructs, and which is what these guys are. So the constructs have always existed in Stronghold, in the Iron Fist Stronghold. The doors like to make them, they're like robots and kind of things. In this case, though, the construct's a little bit special in that they're powered by that green gem you see on his chest. And it's also material that makes up his weapon. The Silver Clan doors recently discovered this material had properties that enabled them to use it as a power source. In terms of game mechanics, these particular constructs will reach their full power only in the presence of the end engineer who can maintain and control that power.
Cool.
And we also have a range construct coming that has a laser beam. Everyone loves lasers.
Of course.
And if I'm feeling nice, I'll post a picture of that in the general forums later.
Cool. All right, we got. Ooh.
So this is a spell, actually. I know usually we show a lot of champions, but this time I wanted to show a couple of spells. So this is called Meltdown. It's a construct-only sacrifice spell that returns part of the Nora cost of the construct to you, as well as buffing other constructs while that are in play when you cast the spell. I actually really like this piece a lot. I love the way it glows, and then if you look closely at the construct that's in the liquid there, it actually looks like he's crying.
Yeah, it does. I like the goggles on the guy. Those are neat. Way cool. What else do we have?
Okay, we have a few more. We're jumping back to Forsaken Waste for the next one. So this is the Flesh Weaver Witch. It's pretty obvious that it's Forsaken Waste when it's something that's playing with dead things. So she's a witch, which is an existing theme in the game, as well as clearly she's working on the zombies, and that's also an existing way. So she's kind of a hybrid theme rune here.
We got a more finished piece.
Yeah, so we have a couple more. Wow. So she summons zombies and buffs them the same way as Azaran does. Azaran is a longs that shepherds the beasts of Savage Tundra, and she does a very similar thing for the zombies in Forsaken Waste.
Wow.
And we should have one more.
Yeah, that's the last one right there.
Oh, did we jump forward already?
It's
Okay.
so pretty. I love all the lights in the back. And
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite pieces because of the way the layers worked out and how there's like, it's almost kind of a storybook feeling, some of those older cartoons and movies where they had to sort of do it in that way, where there's like a layer of stuff in the front and then a layer in the back and then move the back.
Yeah, that's way cool. I like it. Creepy, but cool.
Yep. So next we have another spell. This is called Elsaran Knight. So this is a spell that's an anti-spell rune for the Forsaken Waste, anti-range spell, rather. And what it does is it places a location effect on the ground, and it's going to be like this gray fog. And it gives the units inside of it elusive, which means they're immune to range attacks.
Okay.
So it only gives them that while they're within the fog. So additionally, if the unit that's in the fog is a zombie, they also gain additional benefits.
Oh, I really like that piece. I like the purplish color and the way the fog's coming.
It's got good atmosphere.
Yeah.
So
all right, what's this piece?
Now we're moving on to Savage Tundra. So in Savage Tundra, there's an iconic rune called Crystal Phoenix that everybody pretty much knows. And it's long been thought by the Jakai to be naturally occurring. But it turns out that is actually the result of a particular artifact called the Cremo. And what it does is that it turns living creatures into crystal, but keeps them alive. So it basically locks their essence into the crystal. So in this case, it's a mastodon that's been crystallized. And one of the side effects, though, of this process is that the creatures become fiercely loyal to the Jakai. And that's going to manifest in-game as a buff for them when they're near Jakai units.
Interesting. That's pretty cool.
And they also gain new powers in the process. In the Mastodon's case, he's going to shoot this Arctic bolt.
Oh, what's this piece?
So this is also Savage Tundra. It looks really dark, and it's actually very unique in that I don't think we have too many spells or art pieces that look like this. In the background that you can actually see is the crystal mastodon.
Oh.
So you can see the two legs and the body. So it's a
continuation of the other piece.
yeah, but so it's being attacked essentially. But this is a ST spell that gives the unit the ability to reflect damage back onto its attackers.
Oh.
And so it was kind of difficult to convey that in a way that was cool, but I think the artist did a pretty good job
Yeah,
here.
I like it. Like the bolt is coming back at him. That's very cool.
Yep.
Nice colors and really neat. All right.
So jumping to Sunderlands next.
All right. I can't wait. Oh.
So this is a minx. So a couple of expansions ago, we introduced the minx, which are these beetle insect things. And this is a new one. So this is the minx adamant. So he's kind of a tanky type of character, and the idea is that the minx matriarchs actually have the ability to manipulate their young while they're still in their eggs, and give them additional or tweak how they're going to grow up. And this is a particularly severe manipulation because most of the minks are much less bulky and much more sleek, and so he's kind of a fatty.
I like his claws.
Yeah.
Who else do we have?
So next we
Ooh.
have a couple pieces that are also player made, part of the fan art submissions. So this one is by Andra Lexis, and this is one of the two honorable mentions we're going to show. I know a lot of players have seen this already, but we did want to give them some airtime.
Very cool. I love her hair.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right.
So the next one is by Amber Fist.
All right.
I hope I said that correctly.
Ooh.
So it's another version of the same rune. And so you can see how, with different artists, you end up getting pretty different pieces
Yeah.
with the same description. And that's kind of the cool thing about working artists. A lot of our artists will actually give us multiple sketches of different poses and allow us to pick one we like.
I like the bow in this piece.
Yeah, this one it's got a very dynamic feeling to it because it's the horizon is not horizontal to the piece. Or it doesn't look like it given the angle of the bow and the trees.
Yeah.
So it gives it a little more effect.
That's big.
So the background of the forest runes is actually very interesting in this time around, in that there's a Fey sorceress by the name of Amareth who had created something called the Chains of Amareth. And what they do is they're capable of transferring elemental energy between a conduit, in this case the Fey, you see chain there, to a host. And so that's where the previous art pieces, the Light of the Circles, come from.
Yeah.
They're basically archers that have been possessed by fire, essentially. And so there's a price to pay here, in that the Fae itself is actually immobilized by the chains, and every time a unit is deployed that utilizes its power, she actually is going to be hurt by that.
Oh.
And in the game, it's going to manifest itself as she's going to lose hit points, but the unit being deployed is going to gain some hit points, and you gain Nora back. So she's going to be an upfront investment that will pay off itself over time.
So they have to wait to see this piece finished.
Yes, we actually don't have the finished piece come back yet. There was a different version of her that was a little bit more risque, but we chose this one. So hopefully you guys got a good sense of how the lore is kind of driving this expansion a little more, and I didn't want to give too much away, so there's a lot that I haven't said, and there's including a Gatling gun that's made by Skizig, there's a Cloak of Skulls, as well as a bunch of spells that should have pretty unique effects that are exploring some new design space.
Wow. It's exciting. I love all the art. When I was going through the pictures to make notes and stuff, I was like, oh, I'm going to use this one as a desktop background and this one and this one. They're they're just amazing. I love them. Is there any questions? Because we're almost out of time. So any last quick ones? Are they just amazed over all the pretty art? All right. So no. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us for the SOE Community Webcast, and thank you for coming on, Derek. I always like it when you guys come on. PoxNora is so much fun to talk about.
Yes.
So we thank you for coming on the PoxNora Endless Wonder Webcast. We hope you enjoyed the preview of the new expansion and hearing about the overall storyline. Next week, we have 2 webcasts for you. The DCUO team is going to come and talk about GU 14 and DLC Pack 4 at 4 p.m. And then the EverQuest 2 team is going to come on at 4:30 and give us a sneak peek into EverQuest 2's future. So we'll see you next week.
Sony.